Hello everyone, welcome to another video of me learning how to do C#. Before I start, I wanted to say these are the sprites that I'm using. I haven't made any of these are by TeerSpriteRandomizer, but I'm using his starship as an example to do a project where it can like move around the screen and change colors. For the code, I have the random mover code. So in this one, I have a bunch of notes on here to explain the process of what I went through. This private transform TF will come in to get component transform, which stores the TF into like a little box that I can access the transform component on the starship, which is like the up, down, left, and right. I use these public float variables. So when I come to Unity, you can see in this random mover that script that we're messing around with. I have different variables, and since they're floats, they can be like decimal numbers as well, whatever we want to change it to. Change it back to -5 for now. Um, but so that's what a float does. It changes this integer, this number, into have like a decimal. And so this will be the minimum x value. The next one will be the max x value. So how far it can go. And this is the min y and max y values. These two right here, so you can see min x, min y, max y. We can access them later on during the update. So like every frame, it does this random range through these two and creates like a random value in the x and the random y. And then this TF position, the one that we are referencing from this transform, actually moves the sprite or whatever sprite I have it associated to. So this one I have it on the starship. It moves that to a new random location with a random x and a random y. I put this one at 0 with a float value just because it's ignoring the z, which is like how close or far it is away, but since we're working on 2D, it's ignored. And so I also did sprite renderer. So this accesses the sprite renderer component under the sprite. So every sprite that I import has this renderer to go onto, which you can mess with like the colors and alpha channels. So alpha is like if it's visible or not. So I set it to 1, so it makes sure that it stays visible right here. And this sprite color RGB, we're actually playing with those colors, giving it a random range between 0 and 1. 1's like max, 0's nothing. So it gives it a random number through those and through this red, blue, and green. And then just to make sure, because if I don't assign the Kenny sprite of the starship to the dang it through the sprite renderer, it'll give an error message if I'm not actually associating it. So this, if I forget to, it just doesn't give me an error message. We're learning that part, so our code just looks nice and clean at the very end. But if it does, if it is in there, if it's not equal to null, if it's not equal to nothing, then it'll change the actual sprite color to this one of these random ranges. And then game quitter, when I open the executable file here in a second, we'll be able to see that the get button down, so it's checking for what key I saved on that access, which was escape key, and I just labeled it quit. And so the application, it actually exits the application if I push the escape key. I just wanted notes in here to make sure I can understand what I've been working on. I'm learning it, so it's all stuff that the teacher and professors have been teaching us. But this is sort of like the planning of what I was going to make my Kenny sprite actually rotate and do all that. Or not rotate, just shift around on the screen. So if I open up the executable file here, I just created a build of that file with the quit. And so if I push any button on my keyboard, it's going, if I press U, Y, T, F, G, it'll change the color and keep moving with whatever key I press. Through those values, it'll store it and just move the Kenny sprite. And if I hit the escape key, you'll see that it'll exit the application. And you can see right here, if any if input is any key down, so any key I press, that's where it's actually doing this, all this right here. So this is where it's changing all the float values for the random ranges that we got from these parameters up here. And that's what's going to move these game objects. These game objects are like sprites that I associated to. You can create an empty one just for like if I had a controller on a different assignment, or making a controller and a pawn that I'm the controller and you can control other things. Game objects are just how these transform components, a sprite render, and it's actually associated to certain things. When I'm messing with components, these are things that we can add like scripts, animations, or anything like that, and making it public so anybody can mess with it, or private to where only I can mess with it on my computer myself. And again, I didn't make any of these sprites. These were all made by Kenny Sprites. All I did is learn the C# code and implement it into something that I can work with and display for this little assignment to move around and change the color of my starship. Thank you for watching, and I'll keep updating you on more progress I made on learning C#.